professional chess coach, and I am here again today to give you some quick bites of wisdom that are going to take your chess to the next level. In today's video, we are going to discuss the biggest difference between beginners, intermediates, and advanced level players. Notice I'm not using ratings. I'm going to be talking more about skill sets and not so much about the actual numbers. Let's take a look here. So there's 3 games I want to show you really quick to emphasize the point that I'm about to make. Here's game number 1. Let's take a look. These are both beginners. Let's see what we can see here. You'll notice, at first it seems like it's totally fine. In fact, this seems like it's going to be a Danish gambit. But the problem is that white doesn't take back with the knight in this position the way you would think they would, bringing out their pieces quickly and following those basic strategies. Instead, we recapture with the pawn, followed by moving a bunch more pawns. We don't see that the opponent is attacking our pieces, but we really like moving pawns. We could take that knight for free. It's also attacking our queen, but I think we'll just keep moving pawns, and then our queen falls off the board. We do take that back, but this happens over and over again. Pieces can just take our pieces, either for free or for more than they're worth from the opponent. And this just happens over and over again, the opponent taking all of our pieces until there's none left. So let's talk about this for a second. What's happened here? Maybe a beginner has heard a little bit of strategy on how to move out their pieces and stuff like that, and they probably tried it, but because the biggest weakness of a beginner is that they don't see attacks and defenses, and if they do, it's hardly at all. They end up losing a bunch of pieces on accident, and usually they get so frustrated from having lost those pieces that they decide to start moving a bunch of pawns because, well, let's face it, if I don't bring out my pieces, I can't lose them as fast. And they'll actually teach themselves bad habits to avoid that stuff. So what is the solution to a beginner? Honestly, we need to get in a lot of time just playing chess. Start playing chess every day, and you gotta start taking your time. Maybe don't play a live game of chess. Maybe set up a chess position, just ask yourself, what are the attackers and defenders in this position? What is white attacking, and what is white defending? What's black attacking, what's black defending? We've got to keep a good lookout for those pieces. And the number one piece that's gonna get you every single time, long range pieces. Keep an eye out for those queens, those rooks, and those bishops. If there's only like 2 things you get away from this video if you're a beginner, I hope it's practice counting attackers and defenders, and before each move, look at their queen, their bishops, and their rooks, and how they're moving, and be aware that you see the attacks from afar, okay? Moving on to intermediate players. For the intermediate players have gotten very good at seeing attackers and defenders, okay? Intermediate players almost never accidentally lose pieces anymore, okay? But let's take a look here. Let's see if we can spot what the problem in this intermediate level game is. This looks fine. That's something I've never seen before, but it is threatening our pawn. Bishop c4. Okay, well, we're developing our pieces. Knight f6, e5. Now, both of these players are intermediate level players, like I said, and so what I want you to see is this. On one hand, they have gotten very good at if you attack me, I'm going to defend it, and now I'm not going to lose my pieces anymore. I'm not a beginner. Yes. The problem is that there's a very easy way to beat intermediate players, and that is to attack them a lot, because they are so good at defending that you can get them into this reactionary place where they're just defending everything and they never get control of the game again, and they never actually get to do what they want. Notice in this position that white attacks this knight and the knight simply saves itself. You might be asking, well, what could black have done? Here's an option, d5. In fact, it's probably the best move in the position. Ignoring this threat and making a counter threat on white's bishop instead, while also helping activate this bishop. This would have been a better move. But instead, black reacts. Check. Something else that I tend to find that intermediate players do is that they kind of have some plans now, but usually they're very, very quick plans. In this case, white is trying to go for a scholar's mate. For those who don't know, It's one of the quickest checkmates in chess you can make. If you have a friend or someone that doesn't know that much about chess, and you want to really impress them, definitely scholars mate them by bringing out your queen and bishop and checkmating him on f7. But in this case, black just blocks it, and white's like, well, you foiled my plan. What do I do now? So they save their queen. And what happens is, okay, you attack my queen. Now in this case, there is no good way to ignore it, but defense, attack, defense. Is there a way in this position that white could have not defended this bishop? Sure. Don't forget about en passant. Pawn just moved 2 squares forward side by side with our pawn. We can do this move. Trust me, I know this looks like magic. Look it up. En passant. That's E-N space P-A-S-S-A-N-T. But they attack our bishop, so we react. Trade, trade. And actually, I will give white some credit in this game. White actually did kind of come to their senses and start playing with, center control, minor piece development. They're following their basic strategies again. But then, almost like they don't know what to do anymore. They develop their pieces, and then here's the problem. One move attack. Why? Well, I've gotten really good at attacking and defending. That's why I'm an intermediate player, and I can attack you, so I'm going to attack you. And so it goes away. And then we sack this pawn so we can attack it again, but it just goes away again. And then we're just like, okay, I don't really know what to do here. And then we just kind of shuffle our pieces around. We don't really know how to make a good plan here. We just kind of know how to make attacks and defenses. And I don't know exactly what happens in this game, because you'll see in just a moment, but basically, I think our intermediate players, white, got so frustrated that they didn't know what to do that they kind of self-imploded and sacrificed a bunch of pieces to make something happen. So I don't know, that part doesn't really matter. But anyway, I know I'm rambling a bit, but hone in for a second with me, okay? Intermediate players. You're an intermediate player because you've gotten good at attacking and defending, okay? You almost never accidentally lose pieces. Good job. Now, if you actually want to take the next step, you need to start seeing your opponent's attacks and then trying to find a move that ignores that attack. Maybe you can make a counter threat. Maybe you can use a tactic to make it work. But trying to find those opportunities is going to be the best thing. Also, we need to start learning how to plan. Sometimes it's like we know how to do the strategies really well. We know how to attack and defend, and we know how to bring out our pieces, fight for the center, and get our king safe. And then it's like, what now? Sometimes we get lucky and the position plays itself out naturally. But you get a locked position like this, and you're like, I have no idea. Okay, rambling a bit, moving on. Then we got advanced players. Now, what is the number one thing that separates an advanced player? It is the ability to see all the attacks and defenses, but try to ignore the opponent's ideas and put our ideas first. However, this is where it kind of comes with a catch-22. As advanced players, we also are good at seeing tactics. We are good at setting up pins and skewers and some other checkmates and all sorts of stuff. And we have learned to really focus on our ideas and really try to ignore the opponent's ideas. Here's the problem. Sometimes as an advanced player, we can get so tunnel visioned on our ideas that it's almost like we've reverted back into some beginner tendencies. A beginner isn't even thinking about what the opponent is doing or why they did it or if they're being attacked. And sometimes as an advanced player, we can be so focused on what we're doing that we're just not even giving enough awareness to the opponent. Check this out. So everything is totally fine in this game. This is all standard, Gioco piano Italian game. Everything is normal here. Everything is totally normal. All opening book, normal. And then here's thing number one. In this position, black actually messed up. What black was supposed to play here was d5 challenging the center. That's a different opening. That's a different day video. Instead, castles, and white tries to use this pawn center and start attacking. And here as an advanced player, black said, nope, I will attack you back. Now here, white should consider ignoring their threat and pursuing our ideas, but actually that would open up the rook to our king. It doesn't go as well as we'd like it to. After takes and takes and takes, this can definitely be, I don't know, this isn't the funnest position necessarily. So white goes back here. They save the knight. We attack here. Again, black should at least consider not defending this pawn. Maybe play knight b4. Unfortunately, with calculation, it doesn't quite work out. But we should consider it at least, right? Black saves it. We castle queenside. Now from here on, I want you to pay attention. There is a strategy in chess that I'm not going to talk too much about today that says if you castle on opposite sides of the board, then you should go for an all-out pawn storm and rip open your opponent's king and just go straight for their king. And that actually will win you a lot of chess games. And actually in this position, it seems like that should be done. But white doesn't play 100% accurately here, and a few too many pieces ended getting up traded off. And in reality, white should have noticed this and kind of transitioned into an endgame and, tried to play for something else. Instead, white was so focused on, I must go after the king, that we didn't even see black's ideas, and eventually we end up losing 2 pieces to 2 different tactics. Check it out. Knight b4, here, trade. There goes one of our attackers that was aiming at the black king. Here it's h4, hitting our queen, saving our queen, developing. Now here we've got to be a little bit careful as well. Here, thank goodness he did not fall for a very, very bad trap. Here he could have been so tunnel visioned on trying to go after the opponent's king and played queen h6 to try and play knight g5 and checkmate that queen c6 check would have been unmeetable except for this terrible, notice how the bishop's cutting the king off. We have to play knight c4 and this is miserable. Thankfully we didn't tunnel vision that hard, but we went after here, boom, boom. Take a timeout. With the queens traded off, the chances of attack, of a big attack, really go down significantly. But, as we're just focused. Knight a4. Black attacks the pawn, and they do some more advanced stuff, and I do commend them for it. Pawn takes pawn. I'm ignoring you. Knight takes back. I'm ignoring you. Pawn takes pawn, check. Well, now you can't ignore it. Takes back. And now in this position, white has something simple to deal with. We've got the pawn, and we've got the rook. And, maybe we could try to find something interesting. I don't know. Maybe knight g5, completely ignoring the opponent's threat on the rook and going after the bishop should be played. I don't know if it should be played, but I'll tell you as an advanced player, we should at least consider it. In this position, though, rook g1. We're just so bent on all this kingside attack, even though, honestly, again, with most of the pieces and the queen traded off, the king attack really just isn't there, in my opinion. Boom. Fork. There's the tactic. Now we lose one exchange, and we are still so bent on this attack on the king side that we lose everything else, and eventually try to play this. We're just so bent on this king attack that we then miss. Boom! And yikes, another tactic. And we end up losing 2 pieces, and at this point, it's just too much. Black's up way too much in this position. It's just, yeah. So, I know it was a lot. Focus in here with me for one last time. Here's what you learned today. Beginners, intermediates, and advanced. What are the biggest things separating these 3 categories of player? Beginners, you are not good yet at seeing attackers and defenders. And so you put pieces on squares and they get captured. Or you didn't even do anything and someone takes your piece out. And you're like, why did it happen? And you might want to start just moving your pawns. Resist that temptation. Keep moving out those pieces and just take the time to look for those attackers. Especially, make it a check mark every move. Look at those long-range pieces. Look at their queen. Look at their bishop. Look at their rook. Make sure. Intermediate level players, you've gotten so good at not losing your pieces anymore. The attacks are on point. The defenses are on point. But the problem is that if anyone starts attacking you, you start reacting to everything that they do and completely cave in. Maybe not completely, but you know what I'm talking about if this is you. You know what I'm talking about, okay? Also, we don't know how to plan very well. Maybe we have a little bit of an idea, but not too much, okay? And the thing we definitely aren't doing much in our games is finding tactics. If I want to become an advanced player and I'm an intermediate player, I've got to start trying. Every time that my opponent attacks me, I've got to stop myself and try to at least try to find a move that doesn't react to my opponent's threat. And maybe I'll find something great and maybe I won't, but I promise if you keep trying, you're going to start finding it. I've got to start looking past just the one move attacks and try and actually set up a tactic. Try and set up a 2-move combo, maybe a 3-move combo, okay? If you want to be advanced, you're going to have to get by the surface stuff. I promise, I'm never going to miss a 1-move attack, unless I'm like asleep. It's just not going to happen. Advanced players, you are good at finding tactics in your games. You are good at really focusing on your ideas and ignoring your opponent's ideas. It's fantastic. You really have what it takes. You're getting close to that master level. But the problem is that sometimes you focus so hard on what you're doing that you don't give the opponent enough credit, and boom, you get hit by a tactic. Boom, you get hit by a tactic. Okay? We have to be just as much aware of our ideas as our opponent's ideas. We focus on our ideas, but we have to have equal awareness. If I ask you in your chess game, what's your opponent's plan here? What should their plan be? You should be able to tell me. If your answer is like, well, I can tell you my plan, that's your problem. That's what's keeping you from mastery, is that you're thinking about your ideas a lot and maybe a little bit of their ideas. You should be intimately aware of what really is going on for both sides in the position. You have to. And then, yeah, I would say that's probably the biggest thing right there is that intimate, that real, fair, balanced, objective awareness. That way, we don't just get too tunnel visioned. So anyway, this video went on a lot longer than I anticipated. I was told today that the average YouTube video that people watch is like 8 minutes. So like, I'll make an 8-minute video. And this is probably like 5 hours at this point. And you know I'm not going to edit it, so it's just going to go on YouTube this long as well. So I hope that you got something out of it. I hope that you were able to identify with something I said. Or maybe you found that you sometimes play like a beginner and then sometimes play like an intermediate, okay? But hopefully it should give you something to go after for that next step. Keep showing up, keep the grind going, don't be discouraged, focus on the strategies and getting better at the strategies, and the rest will come, I promise you. Again, National Master Jesse Cohen, please like, please subscribe, please help me grow this community. That's what, I'm going to keep giving this to you. You keep helping me out. And don't forget, let me know in the comment section, what do you want to see next? I'm going to be making these videos very much primarily based on those comment section. I made this video based on a request that I had in the comments, and I will do yours as well. So get over there and get it done. I love you guys so much. I know this is late. Please have a wonderful rest of your evening, and goodbye for now. See ya!